Hello, welcome to the Tawk podcast. I'm Carter, joined by third mic Sean here. Say hello, Sean.
Hello.
Let's get into it. Okay, we got a few things to talk about today. The first thing is coming from the Marijuana Policy Project, and they were going over in Oklahoma what Governor Stitt and the state had kind of done with the current legislation on board. They passed on it during this session, and we were just going to talk about what was kind of up for a vote that they passed on. But
Yeah.
looks like after winning overwhelming bipartisan approval from the Oklahoma legislature, the bill was vetoed by the governor.
Oh, yes.
You know, and we really weren't expecting that. We were hoping to get some support, and it looked like what they were trying to do was put this renewable temporary license up that allowed out-of-state patients to come in when they're on vacation and stuff.
Yeah. The
be able to
temporary
use-
medical license.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're super. I mean, it's a helpful thing. If we could get that done, it would improve tourist activity in the state and bring money in.
Yeah, but I think it undermines the, it's actually, no, I'm wrong. Say you live in Kansas and your child suffers from seizures and you can't get something that can actually treat your kid that doesn't cost thousands of dollars and isn't brain surgery. You can come here and buy whatever you want and, subsequently use it, hopefully legally on the side of Kansas.
Yeah, you could actually get some medical treatment for your kid in the States. I know when we traveled to DC, I was wanting to get some medicine while I was there and had actually gotten into the dispensary and was filling out information when they said, no, Oklahoma's not one of the states that's recognized as a state we have reciprocity with, so you can't get your medicine in the state while you're here. And that was, that was frustrating,
I mean, I actually think it's less of a recreational, like canna tourism kind of thing than it is a plus to the actual medical community at large.
Right?
Because I think in Oklahoma you can do like a e-visit with a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Like while you're I don't think you have to be a permanent resident yet, right? Like it's pretty easy to get one. Like if your kid had like seizures, you could move here from Kansas and get your license like relatively easily. Like if you just had like utility bill to show them,
Like once you've
right?
established
Yeah,
domicile and probably
residency.
residency, we can pull
Yeah,
that up to confirm. But I, once you establish that, the doctor's visit part, as long as you have a valid illness or a valid medical condition, that
yeah.
process isn't difficult. I know they're dealing with a lot of applications right now on renewals, but
Ooh, yeah. I wonder when mine. I think mine comes up in October,
I think mine is in November, so they're all coming up
something like
soon.
that.
And
Yeah.
I mean,
So what are the specifics on that? A new doctor recommendation.
hmm a new prescription, basically.
Um, yeah.
Like some
Go back
prescriptions
through
require,
OMMA with that and to get like the renewal.
yeah.
New card. Do I get to take a new picture because mine sucks?
And we were actually going to go through that on an episode. We're going to go through the OMMA's website and the process of application, and if you've already had your license, the process for renewal.
Well,
And
let me grab my license real quick. I will show you. It is so fucking horrible.
as he's going to get that, the second part here seems like it would permit dispensaries to deliver medical marijuana to registered patients who live within a 10
I
mile radius. You're
apologize.
good. I was just going over
That was very unprofessional.
the second part here. The that it would permit dispensaries also to deliver medical marijuana to registered patients living within a 10-mile radius,
Hold on.
which would be nice.
I look like a transient killer farm worker.
Right? And everyone can't see this, but he's got the long hair pulled back in the ponytail, and he looks
I
like
look
one of
like I live at Spawn Ranch.
yeah, like the guy that like
It
Texas.
is not a good look.
You look kind of like Texas dad, like what Texas dad probably
Yeah.
looked like. Texas dad was probably a little more laid back, longer hair, kind of
Yes, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
like Triple H or
Broke a
something like
few
that,
horses and also broke Tex, which is why he killed all those people.
right? So it was a good look, and you were wanting to get a new picture, I guess, is why you were showing us that.
Yeah, it is horrible, and I would like to get a new one because I got a way better haircut now.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you were asking if you can keep your picture or if you
No,
have
I
to
would
take a new
much
one.
prefer not to.
Okay.
It's why I have not online renewed my driver's license because they do the last picture. And
Is that what your picture is in every form of identification in your
no,
wallet
dude,
right
you
now?
want to see this one?
You got one that. Oh, that's what I was about to say. You got Ginger
That's
Jesus.
the OG Sean.
That's like
I
dude.
look
That's
like I
like the
just
dude.
put my drumsticks down.
You look like the dude.
Yeah,
Like not Lebowski.
I can smell this guy. Like,
It smells like
it doesn't
white
make for a
Russians
great
and roaches.
experience when you get pulled over speeding for them to see this and be like, all right, why did he cut the hair?
Even if you give like really, really chill Jesus vibes to them, they're
Yeah,
not
they don't
cool.
believe it.
Yeah,
They
they're
do
not
not
cool about
believe
it.
it. They killed Jesus for Christ's sake, man.
Yeah, they they're not supportive. So you
Yeah,
can get a new
no.
picture, I think, on your
I'd
card.
be way into that.
And on the second
Trying to
part of
fly under the radar these days.
this thing is the delivery to patients within a 10
Yeah.
mile radius, which is interesting that they limited it to that. It's almost like you're only allowed to operate on deliveries within your little window, like your delivery window.
I mean, okay, this is
You should be able to go anywhere,
limited, but I
right?
think specific.
Uh-oh. I think Sean got sucked into the void. And he's back.
Not this is not a regulatory issue. I think this is a labor issue. It only makes sense for someone that is driving for a living, delivery, in their car to operate in that kind of radius. That's what sandwich shops, pizza shops, that's how they do. 57 cents a mile. And then the person can write off the excess, or not the excess, the difference. So
that's interesting, though.
yeah,
I mean,
that's more to protect the employer or the employee than the employer,
because the delivery
or the
job
industry
always ends up.
Yeah, or they would just fuck you to death.
Yes.
And make you drive your brand new Honda Civic into the ground to deliver Papa John's.
Right, and
Yeah,
along
they already
along
do
with
that.
The financial problems that,
or not
that
Papa
treat them
John's.
alone.
Like, what is it now? Postmates. You just like are ruining your fucking Honda Fit to deliver sandwiches.
Right, it's
class warfare, folks.
I think it makes sense.
And you're losing.
I see what you're saying now, and I do support the delivery generally, but now, I mean, a 10-mile radius makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it's like a profit margin kind of shit.
Okay. The last thing they have on here that was up for a vote on here looks like it was going to be easing penalties and removing jail time for first offenses for individuals found in possession of marijuana without a medical marijuana license. So it's kind of pushing that decriminalization movement that they've been working on since the beginning.
We can't have the liberal laws we have currently and then have these draconian laws for recreational use. Like, it is obviously hypocritical even to the most I don't know, blind of voter. Not blind. That's probably bad. That's ableist.
The policy blind. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, unreceptive of voter. It's obviously, like, hypocritical to let somebody like, dude, I can have so much pot at my house legally and grow. If you have more than one person with a card in your house, like, you can have a greenhouse full of weed flowering, like 12 plants, 2 people, 12 plants. And then some guy gets caught with 3 separate eights because they're 3 separate strains, and you charge them with a felony, which happened to someone I know. Put them in separate baggies because they're 3 separate types of weed. And then you just pre-bagged all this weed to go sell it to somebody, probably on an elementary school playground.
Is how they frame it.
Yeah. And then you get a felony charge as a very young man. And if you don't have the money, to pay your way out of that with getting an attorney that knows people, and if you don't have, the right clothes to put on and the right, I don't know.
If you don't appear properly, like if
pedigree, to go in and talk to these people, like, you're screwed, man. You're going to actually get the recommended sentencing, which is 2 years to life.
We can pull that up. We can see. We'll see what. Here, I'm going to pull up normal over here. Let's see how updated this is. Any amount, misdemeanor. This seems a little out of date. Let's see. I think they took away the 1-year incarceration, right, for simple possession.
Yeah. Although there are people still in the, being ground up by the system here. Yeah,
doesn't have retroactive.
It'd be very nice if it were. I think some of it is it not?
It should be. I think so. I don't know. We'll look into that. I think...
You're the lawyer.
Let's see when they updated this last. See if we need to go to the statutes. Look, it says medical marijuana. State has medical marijuana. Looks like they just added the paragraph rather than actually updating the laws.
Perfect.
Right? Well, we know the definition.
I went to
of medical
state
marijuana.
school. I'm into a copy paste.
Here we go. Let's see. Do they not have any publishing information on here? Looks like copyright 2020. At least it was renewed. Yeah. I'm not seeing it.
The paraphernalia charge is the most
Where's that at?
insulting thing in the world.
Perf.
Yeah. I know someone that got it's a misdemeanor, obviously, but a conviction on their record, paraphernalia charge for a pack of cigarette papers. Like
Really?
zigzags. Yes. Because there was no rollable tobacco in his car, but there was marijuana in it.
That's crazy.
So that is a paraphernalia at that point. Yeah.
And that's one of those things where I feel like if the police officers were better educated, maybe, or had more
No.
experience.
It's not a better educated. They want to get everything they can on you.
I know, but I feel like that's not just because you see zigzags doesn't mean that the zigzags equal weed. I mean, weed may be in the car, but weed, like zigzags, could be used to roll tobacco.
Yeah, I'd even object to seeing zigzags and I don't know, like a cup holder, as probable cause to enter a vehicle.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing we need to go over. We can go over all the exceptions to the search warrant requirement. That'd be a fun thing to go over.
I'm pretty sure in this person's instance, that's what it was. They saw cigarette papers in the visible in the cup holder, and used that as pretense to enter the vehicle.
That's not cool.
I mean, it's better than smell, which happens every day too.
I remember I was watching that.
And it's like, how do you do that in court? Like, do you put a vial of the air at the time under each juror's nose?
No, you just rely on the drug dog officers. I was watching
that have been proven time and time again not to be accurate.
Not even the drug dogs. I'm talking about the officers that hold themselves out.
Oh, those guys are worse than the dogs. I like the dogs.
There was an episode of Live PD where one of these officers was boasting his ability to sniff out drugs in a vehicle because he worked so long with canines, which, I get that you might be able to recognize certain behaviors or certain, features of a vehicle.
Dude, that is the most asinine bullshit I've heard since some 18th century or some Victorian era psychology.
I mean, it's solid science. The human police officer is comparable to the dog's nose strength, right? Is that not right?
No, 100% not. As you know very well. Okay. You and I have spent years of our lives watching the Dog Whisperer together.
Cesar Milan, yes.
Yes. Praise be.
Yeah, dude. He's got a new channel I've been watching, trying to keep up.
Really? What is it?
I think it's called Cesar Milan.
Oh yeah, just his YouTube, at Cesar Milan.
Mm-hmm. And his sons are on it and stuff.
Oh, I'm into it. He's one of my favorite human beings that has achieved celebrity in the United States because he's not just he wasn't flashing taint while getting out of a Lamborghini in the mid-aughts when he definitely could have been doing so.
And he may have. It just never got into action.
You've never seen the Cesar Milan sex tape,
Every time someone
it'd probably be a very horrible thing, a very big deal.
Well, I feel like he's pretty good, and I think he's
probably wouldn't be like girls.
I feel like he's conditioned. Well, I don't know. I feel like he's conditioned the press properly to where anytime they try to snap a picture of his nether region, he just gives them a little, and they know to put the cameras down and respect.
I mean, it's just about being the pack leader. That's all it is.
Yeah, calm, assertive
And I
energy
think
keeps
he
the
is.
press in check. They don't shoot up your skirt with, when you get out of your car, if you hold the proper energy and you maintain eye contact with them, you know that you're letting them know that you have control.
Oh, that's awful. But yes, I think you're right.
And you just kind of walk through them. You don't let them determine where you're walking.
Living
So I've
in the
heard.
lofts, that was probably my favorite thing. Like
How we dealt with the press.
starting, well, oh, yeah, I mean, obviously, like we kept them haters out, but learning about human psychology and our relationship and evolution along with the dog through the dog whisperer and like everything you had read and listened to before. You and I, like, I think that's the first thing we nerded out about together,
For sure.
was like, oh my god, I'm in love with your fucking dog. Hippo was the first person I met, and I count Hippo as a person. uh Hippo is the first person I met in Norman, coming from Edmond to go to college.
Yep.
And at a rush party, I was like greeted by your dog. It was at you in like Garrett's house, I think.
Yeah, it was a house that we all lived in down there, and it was where we had thrown a lot of the rush parties. And Hippo was our pit bull basset hound mix, tiger gargoyle
Yes.
that we had as a
She
mascot.
looked like a little hippo. Like she had her feet were out like this. Like it was
First position,
spot on. Yeah, exactly. Like a ballerina.
but
One time a
she's
girl that was like a friend of all of ours like bought her like, or no, like a girl I was dating at the time bought her a tutu, and you were like, no dressing up the dog. That is horrible.
I know, and the interesting thing is that same year she got two hippo tutu costumes for Halloween.
Yes.
So she had two of them. Neither one of them
Oh,
fit
that's
because she was
horrible.
thick. But
She's a big girl.
yeah, but she was a hound breed, and those are the types of dogs that you use for police searches on vehicles and paraphernalia. That's the type of
Yes.
stuff they find. Um,
And living with a dog that could smell out something it was taught to love, like
right?
we had to keep like you had to keep them like in the cabinets, like high up, because she would open the bottom cabinets and stuff
Yep.
with her little
She was
flippers.
nosy, and
Yeah.
she wouldn't snitch either.
Like
Like if you tried to walk her around a car, like as a cop, and she was raised, in the streets of
yeah.
Moore, and she knew that you don't snitch. That's how you end up on the side of a road. Is it ditches? Ditches. Snitches end up in ditches, I think, is what she sees. She
I
used to
remember
say.
Taylor and I talking about turning her into a reverse drug dog, or a drug dog that just found drugs for us.
Or one that sniffs out cops. Like when you're walking around town, she just starts barking or like growling. And you're like, what is it? What? Oh, yep.
Oh,
We saw
another
her.
dog thing. People think, I've heard people say, "Oh yeah, I roll around with a dog with me," because then they're not allowed to search your car. It's like that. Yeah, no, that's not a thing. They're gonna take your goddamn dog.
Exactly. And I always thought about that, and I was like, I don't.
I
I'm
would
not
like
gonna
to
make that
quell that
stand,
rumor real quick.
right?
They're
I was just like, that's not a good move.
gonna take your
They'll
fucking
take your
dog.
dog, they'll take your car, and they'll
If you
put
haven't
you
seen a
somewhere where you
video of
can't
a
see either
cop
one of them.
shooting a dog yet, like, don't Google it. It fucking happens. There's plenty of them. Like, don't use your dog as cover. That is a horrible thing to do.
Right? Because I think it's even more messed up because of how willing they are to protect you, and how willing that
Yeah,
owner is to put that dog out there between them and the threat.
most certainly. You should never teach your dog aggression, and you shouldn't teach your dog to sick unless you're in like some crazy sort of security situation and you're buying some like Malamute that's been taught to attack on command
Like a John
because
Wick 3
you,
scenario. Like if you're hanging out
yeah,
with
because
Halle
you're
Berry or something.
Bjork and you have like a slew of stalkers that are trying to like turn you into a handbag. Like,
Then it makes sense.
uh, being a
Have your
normal,
attack dogs on point.
I see a lot of people buy big dogs, because they think
Still think it might
it's a
create a little bit of liability in the long run to have attack dogs
it's
with you at
it.
all times.
Oh well, people buy like big dogs, thinking it's like a good like home defense mechanism, and maybe it is, but like walking around with that dog, like it should be socialized and well mannered, and you shouldn't be able to sick it on someone. Like
Yeah, their
that's not how it
protective
works.
instincts are strong enough to where they'll attack things that are threats without you priming
Yeah,
them to
if you're
just attack
getting
stuff.
beaten to death at the park, your dog was probably going to help you, but like you don't need to go take it to like dog Krav Maga.
And if
You
it's
know,
if
like
it's not the type of dog that's going to protect you in that scenario, there's no amount of dog conversion camp that you can send it to turn it into a
yeah.
full-blooded marine. It's
You're
always
never gonna turn a golden doodle
that's how
into
sugar is.
something
Yeah,
that's gonna kill for you, man. Like I don't think you can.
you can try, but I feel like it'll turn into like that movie Basic when John Travolta is
Yeah.
interviewing that guy that was
His
abused
head
by
is
Sam
so
Jackson.
big in that.
And spoiler alert, you think it's Omar Epps the whole time, and you
Yeah.
don't even know his race, and you're like,
Yeah, that's a
what?
really
The whole
bad
thing
movie,
was
man.
reliant on the fact that people don't think about race when you're telling a story.
Yeah, I think that might be something they conjured up in the editing room to make that movie have meaning.
I love that movie, and just thinking back on it, you wonder if they shot it. They were like, through the whole movie that we keep seeing the guy, and he's white, man.
He is
We can make him.
very fucking Caucasian.
All right, we bring in Omar Epps. We make him play the guy all the way through, and then at the end we say that it wasn't him. Thoughts?
I mean, if it's gotten the green light, you pump the money in. As soon as someone brings some crazy shit like that you're like, yeah, like, and you go with it, it probably didn't hurt the film. What's the IMDb, like, or what's the Rotten Tomatoes on that?
I don't know. It's probably got to be super fresh. I mean, John Travolta's got a muscle tee in it,
Oh god, dude,
so
I bet you it's
and I don't
21%.
think that may have been.
I
I
bet you
think
it's
that was post hair
21%.
surgery too. So he was like trying to
Oh,
bring it
I,
back together.
he's had a rough go of it. I don't know if I want to
He
rake him
did.
across the coals.
On a
Wife just died.
similar
His kid
topic,
died. He's in a cult.
right? And he likes. I mean, he's just trying to relax. He likes
I
massages.
don't think we're allowed to say they're in a cult.
It's a little judgy.
Yeah,
They're in a religious organization,
really fucked up one, but
an
yeah.
association. Well, what do you think about the update? I know we talked a couple episodes about
Yeah.
marijuana infused slushies, and Marijuana
I
Business
I
Daily did an update article on the 24th about it, saying, "Boy, have these marijuana infused drinks created a stir in Oklahoma." Get it?
and
Stir like a slushie.
if I were a graduate student right now, I would be writing a doctoral thesis about the vagueness of America's or of Oklahoma's marijuana laws being as great and as vague as the U.S. Constitution. And then it's like, give me my political science doctorate. Like, that's exactly what I'd be doing. Because that's, dude, it's the wild, wild fucking West. It is so vague. We're making it vaguer if we actually adopt these things. I love it. I fucking love it.
I
I'm
mean,
into it. We don't have the tax and licensing fees that California, Portland, or Washington, or California, Portland, Washington, or Colorado are dealing with that are crippling the small businessman. Like all of these psychos in our state government talk about small business and like benefiting it, but this is the first time I've actually seen a scenario where it's like playing out like where the average dude has an opportunity to do some shit.
I know.
Sorry,
And
that's pretty.
They can get creative
Yeah,
because, like, they it
I
looks
like
like they went
belched
and
while I
interviewed
did
some of the
that. I
people that are.
apologize.
Do what?
Said I belched while doing that. I apologize.
Oh, it's okay. We'll get a burp mic and a fart mic in here soon. We don't have them yet, but we're working on it.
It's the Coop Brood, Will and Wiley.
Okay. There you go.
Let's try to get a
I'm
sponsorship
assuming
from
that's
them.
I'm assuming
The
that's
mango.
A and not NA.
No, it is
Full A.
yeah, it's full A. Yeah.
I love how they
It is.
refer to it as that. If you're trying to not drink, they call it your non-alcoholic drink, your
Yeah.
NA beer, and it's
Yeah.
like, I get it.
Like
Thanks for helping
O'Doul's.
out and everything, but do we need to talk about it? I feel like you're handing me this just to bring up the fact that I used to be an alcoholic. You know,
George W. Bush,
here's your
like while in
non-alcoholic
office, would drink straight up like dozens of O'Doul's a day, man.
beer. Yeah.
And like at some point, like it's a little bit alcoholic, so he's probably getting a little bit of a buzz while he was leading us into two false wars.
We got to check the science on that to see what volume, like how much volume you need to intake of NA beer to qualify as like
Yeah.
like an A substance
Please,
level in your
if
body.
anyone knows the answer, email me, seanhughes77@gmail.com. That's SeanHughes77@gmail.com. I would love to know how many O'Doul's you have to drink to get fucking plastered.
And what happens? I mean, we're not trying to encourage that, but from a
It can't be
science
good for
perspective
you.
and an
It's got to make you
educational perspective,
pre-diabetic.
That's what I was
Like the
thinking.
rest of the
I'm
stuff
thinking there's
in
gonna be a
beer
lot of swelling,
makes sugar happen. Like
lot
you're
of
producing
naps,
sugar
probably.
not just from the alcohol. A lot of
but
carbs.
from the processing of the alcohol.
Like a
also.
lot of carbs. A lot of carbs.
So it's going to be the person will probably be thick if we get any info from them.
Or dead. Or close to it. I hope they're quarantined.
Very hard to send in that email.
The person that has the information better be quarantining because they're like exactly what the CDC says like should be avoiding coronavirus.
Yeah. You think they're
like overweight and diabetic.
You think they smoke like tobacco-less cigarettes? Like hemp cigarettes or something?
Filterless?
Like
filterless
hemp cigarettes?
Like Lucky Strikes? Like they're in like a bunker in World War One. She's like, I got the trench foot, but I've got these delicious filterless cigarettes the doctor told me are great for me.
So I've been pounding this NA beer the doctor said I got to get on, and these tobacco.
Back then,
hemp
they
cigarettes.
gave them like real beer, and like they were like, oh great, my Red Cross ration of Schlitz malt liquor came in.
Right? And they'd recommend smoking too.
Oh, I was just having one to have one. I still have beer left.
That's our fourth mic, Sagan, coming in. She's
Sorry.
commenting on
my wife is mad that I'm drinking her awesome Will and Wiley's hard seltzer, the mango guava flavor,
which is a non-NA.
Because she thinks that I only drink them when I don't have beers in the house. But sometimes I drink them because they're delicious.
Sometimes I drink them just because I need a drink.
Would you like the... Here. Come sit.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
Sagan will be right back with a comment on the slushies, but until we get her back, it looks like a company commented on the article, but they reached out for a comment to a couple of them. Sagan, what are your thoughts on this? Okay.
She's going to get pot out of the that she just bought out of the car, and
that's what's up.
Was asking me what we should have for dinner. You know, because we are a normal functioning household.
Well, I know that Drew Todd Hunter, what a name, An owner of Fighting Flower Dispensary in Tulsa told KOTV.
Better than Mark Wayne Mullen, all one word, Mark Wayne.
I know, that's got, presidential assassination written all over it.
God, I would pay so much money to watch it.
They just him just talking or not? I got you.
No, I would like to watch Mark Wayne
You're talking about
watch
the
a
assassination? Is
play
that what you're
at
talking
Ford's Theater. No, just kidding.
It would just be the wax figure of the president anyway. It wouldn't even be like real thing. The marijuana infused drinks creating a stir in Oklahoma right now. And
They have started selling slushies.
Yeah.
yeah, and they're saying that they're $15 pre-made drinks, and they're in compliant packaging, and they're in a child-proof cup. And he said, so if it leaves the store in a compliant package, then I personally don't see an issue with it.
All right.
Drew Todd Hunter.
I grew up in Shreveport, Louisiana, where they have like drive-through daiquiris. And they just put a straw or a piece of tape over the top of the straw and call it a closed container. You can drive around with it.
That's childproof, right?
So I think that's weird. But also, as a money-saving endeavor, I would buy tincture and go get a slushy at 7-Eleven. Or actually not 7-Eleven, because they have been really shitty to marijuana businesses or cannabis businesses. And yes, dude, they're evicting like dispensaries at places they own. Since 7-Eleven has gone from 7-Eleven started here in Oklahoma, and they corporatized and sold. There's nothing in this. Sorry. They corporatized, and like Sagan and I have been to villages in the middle of a third world country jungle and found the 7-Eleven in like Pai, Thailand, like in like what used to be Burma.
Honestly, the preferred gas station
And
7-Eleven. It's crazy.
Oklahoma kept their own like little franchise of it. So like all of these that used to be in like all of the Oklahoma 7-Elevens were independent from the international ones. And now they've been brought to heel or whatever and bought out entirely. So now we are a part of the international 7-Elevens in Oklahoma.
Okay. Well, it's nice to be a part of the big picture.
Nationally, they're not down with the reefer because they operate in a lot of countries that aren't down with drugs. So their policy is to not help sustain any business that has to do with the cultivation or sale of cannabis.
I can see that. Well, I guess they're just trying to stick to gas. But I mean, the problem is probably because
it's not gas, dude. It's mostly little prepackaged sandwiches and shit. Mall, right? That's what they sell mostly.
But they'll own the whole strip mall that their gas station's in.
Yes.
And because of that, they're discriminating against cannabis businesses.
They're not letting you put it. They're evicting dispensaries.
Technically, they said you're not supposed to be doing that. They said that's a no-no. You're not supposed to be discriminating against people who
You're not supposed to be doing a lot of things I've seen people be doing in the national media in the last 4 years.
I know discrimination in general is supposed to be a no-no, but unless you have enough money to actually prove that someone is causing some type of effect,
I don't know.
Impact, it's hard to get someone to stop.
We live in a right-to-work state, so you can fire somebody like for anything you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's like in violation of the ADA or.
And they haven't expanded it yet because of the federal issue, but discriminating against someone for a prescription that was given to them by a medical doctor for a condition they have feels like they're being discriminated against because of their medical condition. I know they're saying that because the medical marijuana is how we're treating that medical condition, it's not the same, but it feels the same. You go to the same doctor, he's a doctor and everything.
Yeah.
Like if you could get it from.
I think I might have a hot take on that. I don't want to say.
Bring it
I don't
in.
want to
Hey,
get my
drop it.
card.
Drop it hot. Drop it like it's hot. What's up?
I don't want to get my card taken away.
You think they'll know? You did give your email.
Nah, I mean, I feel like a lot of this, like, although I agree with I do think there are medical benefits to marijuana and like straight up like tumor shrinkage, things like that. I will concede these happen. I think in Oklahoma, we've set up a system where we are medical in name only.
What?
And we have a recreational marijuana system market happening. And then
Heresy.
under the guise of medicine. I do think that marijuana should be federally legal, but I think that there should be a sub-market of medical marijuana patients.
What do you mean people shouldn't name their
I think their marijuana should be
all-city
subsidized.
plug?
I think it
It's
should
like-
be extra monitored. Like I think
Yeah,
they
and
should be
actually
getting the best of the
properly
best.
tested and researched and
cheaper.
stuff so that it's
Yes.
actual
Third party.
medical.
And I'm willing to pay into that kind of system. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where it's going. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
I feel like they're trying.
I think we in Oklahoma are trying like very hard. And I think the people that have pushed the ball up to this point, yardage wise, should be commended. And
Yeah, I like that.
I
It's a
hope
killer
I
company.
don't see in Oklahoma what I've seen happen in Colorado, Oregon, Washington, and California.
Which is what?
I mean, they've done a better job.
The
separating it
sellout
now.
to the largest, like who has the deepest pockets, we're going to back them.
Can't
like-
imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Especially something like marijuana. This should be an equitable crop. Like people that know, like you should be able to like lift yourselves up by the bootstraps growing fucking weed, man.
Or anything, or any type of crop.
Well, they
Like,
tell
anything
you
can
that
grow
you
in
should
the
be able to do
ground.
that. Like we have the opportunity to do this unless we let robber barons fucking take this shit away from us.
Welcome, Sagan.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I can't hear. So hold on, let me go into my settings.
Oh no, it stole your thing.
You're
Yeah.
good.
I'm
We can
fine.
chat for a second until he gets in.
I'm gonna
So
do-
the thing that you watched the special too, right, on Netflix? Did you watch that with
The
him?
one that's like you're talking about the drug business one.
Yeah, the one on cannabis.
Yes. He finished it and I didn't see the last like 7 minutes or so, but I did watch it. And I've seen other things that are like generally talking about the same issue as far as like states that limit number of license and like California does things in the name of
Hello.
saying
Yeah, I
like,
got you.
okay, well they want to support like local farmers. And so they limit the acre per license, but then if you've got a big conglomerate that can just buy up the
Hello.
licenses anyway, it really doesn't matter. And so like a lot of the things they've said that are putting in place to help the local farmer, people that have been doing it for multiple generations, for doing it for 30 years. I mean, it's not what it seems, it's not as friendly to them as it seems. It's really kind of,
A hindrance.
it doesn't do what they want it to. But I also think that like it's crazy how pot legalization mirrors like many other problems like immigration and things like that, where it's like they've made the chute so narrow and like hard to navigate that it doesn't really encourage people to do it legally, because like number one, like most people are priced out of the market unless they have like $1 million to invest.
Mm-hmm.
You've got big tobacco. I've been listening to that podcast. Sorry.
Big pharma.
You got big cannabis to compete with, and not to mention like the crazy tax code, like some states tax at like near a 90% rate.
But yeah, they talked about a lot of the businesses in Northern California being in the black market, and a lot of the businesses in Northern California are those oldest cannabis businesses that have been around, up in Humboldt, up in that northern area.
Yeah, like Arcata, Mendocino.
And they're talking about how those people, like you're saying, the ones that have been around the longest, recognize, just like the cartels do, like worldwide, that the barrier for entry is so high because of the stigma, the criminalization, and the taxation on legalized cannabis that
And
it
that's
makes more
not even
sense
like
to not
saying
be
you
involved
can't
in
get
it.
banking. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't get banking. Security is an issue. Like security and obviously like the concentrate processing, but like security really is the number one growth around the cannabis industry. Is that like
Yeah.
like is the money and the security, like that's where
Where are
the
you gonna
money
put
is
the unbankable
right
cash?
now. Yeah, or at least like for people, if you don't want to get involved in the industry, like that's what's growing the most. You know that, and obviously like ways to turn pot into soda and turn it into all that stuff.
Middlemaning, transportation. That's where a lot of the money is right now.
No, I meant like trying to be.
Sorry,
if you
the
want
pot
to get in
twins
the
are telling
ground
you what
floor,
the
as
fucking
opposed to
thing
like
is.
if you're trying to start a dispensary, like you're 15 years too late to some extent, you know, or 20 years too late.
Well, they were saying you're almost like you're sized
But
out of
if
the
you can
industry
get in
before
the
you
other
can
side
start.
of it,
Dude, yeah. I mean, like,
so
I've
like,
been buying.
it's more like coming up with ideas on how to process it and like how to keep it safe and how to process the money. Like that's really where the innovation is what I think is what I'm trying to say. The innovation is
Like, as a medical card holder and a pretty decent gardener and not a bad grower, I've grown some pretty decent pot, and I bought stuff in high school in California that was like better than anything I could ever probably grow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they say that California is the weed capital of the world as far as genetics goes, and I know they're doing a lot of good projects on actually trying to map the genetics out in UC. I think it's UC Berkeley. They're trying to map the marijuana genetics. Well, you're trying to light
Like
the
the
stove
cannabis-
over there to cook dinner, right?
The
Are you guys
cannabis
cooking soup?
genome.
Is it or like a stew? Yeah.
That's how I prevent the unibrow.
I was gonna say, I was like, being a two-headed beast over
Gotta
here is like
feather it.
some dangers.
Yeah, the chimera.
You occasionally feather it. I mean, it happens.
Yeah, you gotta feather it, brother.
So one of the things they were talking about on here too was the Canadian industry being legalized far before the U.S. industry, and basically the whole market has consolidated into three major companies, just like all monopolies eventually do.
You're saying that's in
Yeah.
Canada?
The rule of
they've already
three.
been established, yeah. And because of that, and because of how long we've drug our feet and how they
That's
jumped
like
in,
Wharton business school shit, though.
yeah. And I mean, it makes sense what they're saying, and it's why they have antitrust laws and stuff to prevent it from just being one company. But
Yeah, I mean, we have antitrust laws, but we don't enforce them, or Facebook wouldn't be a thing. So it's
just had a meeting.
it's terrifying what could happen
They
to our
literally
marijuana
just
industry.
talked about that, yeah. Can you
they
pass
just
me
had a
that
big
shit?
meeting with everybody where they go, "Hey, so what's going on with these monopolies you guys got?" And they were like, "Hey,
We're
Yeah, it's
nice.
fine. We have
We're
we don't have
stressful.
monopolies. And they're like, cool.
And
Thank you.
A lot
Well,
of
no, what they
responsibility.
basically said is like, they're like, oh no, we have tons of competition. You're like,
Yeah.
oh,
What are
okay.
their names? But don't you just buy
I was
them
gonna say,
or
who have
crush
you not
them?
bought already or
Like-
dismantled?
Right? They're like,
Like
yeah, we
stolen
got
their technology and
What Facebook is doing to its
company.
competition, Microsoft got bent over a barrel for in the 90s.
Mhm.
Like, and if George W. Bush had not intervened and saved them from being broken up like Ma Bell, they would have been just another great example of American antitrust law working as it should work.
Mhm.
Like, all these fucking dickheads in Congress with busts of Teddy Roosevelt on their desk that do the bidding of Google, Facebook, or any Wall Street firm or large bank should just jump out of the goddamn.
It's not
window.
ideal, definitely. And if anybody out there is doing that, try to dial that back a little bit. I think that's having a negative.
I'm sorry.
outcome
I didn't mean to
publicly.
get political. I
No,
guess that
I
is
mean,
political.
and anyone that's doing that, shame, knock it off.
Are
But yeah, to
we
say that
live
they have
streaming? That's
competition is
horrible.
to
I
say that, like,
apologize.
Usain Bolt has competition. I just feel like
I don't. I meant
it's out there. It's just not
figuratively.
real.
Yeah.
But
And allegedly, these people did this.
I think that one of the things that would actually help us is one of the things that the U.S. House was trying to approve. And they were talking about this on Cannabis Business Times. Melissa Schiller did a great article. Came out today,
that's
I
great.
believe. U.S. House approves amendment to protect state legal cannabis businesses from federal intervention.
Yeah, it's actually incredible.
Yeah. And what it would basically do is it would bar the Department of Justice from using taxpayer funds to enforce federal anti-cannabis laws in U.S. states that have legalized medical or adult use cannabis. So that's recreational
Yes.
or medical. And that's huge.
That just
That's
means
basically
the people that
what-
work at the OKC DEA, our neighbors, do not have to come in and mess with it. They don't want to. Now
Yeah.
they have a federal mandate saying they never have to. This
Well,
is
they
incredible.
had
Like,
had
if it-
this
or
through
a state mandate.
executive policy back. I want to say it was during the Obama administration, like Eric Holder or somebody, did
Yeah.
a letter basically saying that we're not going to use federal funds to enforce.
Even bars
Cannabis
DOJ
laws.
saying that now, which is crazy.
I know they raked it back for a little bit. I forget who it was. It was like it was a couple of officers ago for the current administration. It was I don't know who-
Obama's first few years, he was not that kind federally, or his administration was not that kind federally to state marijuana, and they were still raiding places and stuff in California. But Holder did put an end to that, which is great.
And that's
into it.
that's kind of what they're trying to push forward here is something to prevent the fear that we were just talking about that keeps competition out in the US and keeps certain people on a state level from expanding. A lot of them don't want to be honest about what they're doing because once they reach a certain level, they're a threat that's identified and targeted.
Yeah.
And with stuff like this, that at least the DOJ is not going to be targeting you, which is, that's a little bit of relief.
Yeah, most certainly.
Every little bit helps.
Yeah.
And they're legit businesses within the state, and the state's supposed to have that ability to allow people to engage in commerce within the state.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you want to, I hate to bring politics into it, but look at the politics of the average Oklahoma voter. They are small government, anti-federal government. They would like more control here on a state or local level. I think
they all smoke marijuana, interestingly enough.
8% of the state is currently licensed, which is pretty fucking cool. Because,
Well, and based on just the numbers of when
Just
you poll how many people are smokers, in the our area, it's basically it's 12% of women, 16% of men, just in the Midwest area, whether they have a card or not, or consumers. It's 55 million people worldwide.
Yeah.
That's insane. So that's what it's 600,000 people or so that use cannabis in Oklahoma. I mean, the world's not stopped turning.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been to a dispensary
Yeah.
and seen someone that could be your grand aunt Cheryl or great aunt Cheryl, rather?
Oh, for sure. Some of them run the dispensaries,
Yeah. And they're like, oh, this is my own infused peach cobbler. It goes
Right.
back 3 generations. And you're
They
like,
got
oh,
skills.
thank God for you.
Right.
Exactly.
They've just been waiting. They're like,
Life is good in Oklahoma if
you like consuming marijuana.
They were saying in that documentary, not to keep circling back to that, it was very interesting. They were saying that of all the marijuana produced in California, 80% of it goes into the black market and ends up in places like only 20% of all the marijuana produced in California is licensed. The other 80% goes into the black market to states like Oklahoma, Texas.
It goes down and around the bottom to Texas, up and then over, basically.
I mean,
through the major
people
distribution
go out
hubs
and trim.
That's why we get our black market bud is so good in Oklahoma, is because we literally sit there at 35 and 40, and it's all got to come through here.
That's why
the other.
That's what I heard too.
When people go out and trim, and they pay them in trim, and they bring it home.
That's what I heard too, and I think that it's interesting because, like you said, you get the best quality because it's all coming from the place that's been allowed to do that outdoors and has been doing it outdoors for the longest time. And it's interesting, just climate-wise, in Northern California, that's where the best climate is for growing cannabis out there. And the fact that so many of those farms are black market producers shows you that the amount and the quality on the black market is super competitive with what's currently being produced state by state on under a heavy regulatory and taxing system.
And I've been out there, man, like just the policing that would be insane. Like, it's incredibly mountainous
in California.
Yeah, like Humboldt County, like Arcata and stuff. Like, it would be nuts to police that.
Yep.
Like, it's hard flying if you're like flying the sheriff's department helicopter. So I mean, like, it's easy to probably grow out there, like under, the guise of trees and
They're talking about most of.
I'm not surprised the black market flourishes. The black market flourishes here, man. You'll see. Go to a dispensary, and you'll probably see some products that are not licensed to be sold here in the state.
I know, but for some reason, every time I go in and start asking a lot of questions, they give me these narky looks.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, "Hey, so where did you grow this? Oh yeah, who tested it?
Yeah, Perry Mason, get the fuck out of here, bro.
Who tested it, huh? Oh, you don't know where it was tested? I thought you had to test this.
I want all of that. What do you mean?
Is that fine?
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were telling me to pick and choose. I'm like,
sorry,
I want everything.
I'm trying to place this order.
Sorry, Sagan is
y'all can get back to
ordering
life.
food.
I apologize.
And she showed me a list, and I thought she was telling me to pick from it. And I'm like, no, I want everything that's on this list.
She's I know. All this talk of cannabis made me hungry as well.
I'm very hungry.
The last thing that we can talk about here, if you want to, is this.
I'm sorry if we've ruined a lot of this, but we can edit some of the horrible parts out.
For sure.
Yeah, that's why you guys were doing an actual episode. I wish.
No, bring old Sags in.
She's great. I'm like
hey,
awkwardly.
Sagan, you're perfect. It's fine. We don't have like a red light or anything to let you know. And I'm sorry that you guys are having so much trouble lighting that pilot. It seems like it's really a.
I'm so sorry.
Troublesome little fella.
We should do the volcano when we're recording, so I don't look like such a stoner. Although this is a fancy pipe.
You're really undermining my cover every time I try to give you a cover.
Oh, sorry.
But the last thing we can talk about here is an article that was put out in the Oklahoman a couple days ago. Looks like Sunday. It's Canna closes a $500,000 funding round as it connects cannabis workers and companies. This is by Dale Denwalt of the Oklahoman. He's got extensive experience, according to his little summary at the bottom. So, I think what's going on is they're kind of they're an employment service company, and they're specializing in the cannabis industry in Oklahoma, and they just got a huge investment, according to.
And are they are they actually from Oklahoma, or is this a subsidiary of something else.
I think my wife may have been smoking that tree right underneath the smoke detector, which I've totally done before. But she
Oh, is that happening right now?
left to her own devices, and I remember doing that one day in my in my bedroom because the smoke detector's right above the TV. I was sitting at the foot of the bed playing video games and just blowing trees at the TV. And Charity was at work, and the thing goes to her phone when she sets it
I was gonna
off.
say, you have like a home
Yeah.
security app that's like.
And she called and was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I wasn't being smart, and it might go off again here in a second because there is a huge cloud of smoke in this room right at that." And I can guarantee you that's what just happened. But
All right.
so
Can
That's amazing.
all right, sorry.
go for it. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna ask for a recommendation real quick. Sagan and I would like to start playing video games together while we're in quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
And we do not know what system to buy. PlayStation 4, the newest Xbox, or a Switch.
So I know Jess and a bunch of people all do Xbox. Everyone I've ever known does Xbox. And I, of course, have a PlayStation, just like I have an Android.
It's
I'm
so
always-
many buttons.
I just
for
want
me.
to play Red Dead Redemption.
I know, and it's on
Dude.
discount right now for another couple weeks on PlayStation Store. I have it in my deal to purchase.
And then there's like a new samurai one that I'm supposed to play that's like
Ghost of Tsushima or something like Tsushima.
yes, it's the
That's
only
alright.
two games I've been
Tsushima.
interested in since like Age of Empires 2.
It looks awesome. And I've been waiting for the Red Dead game to drop in price, and they finally did.
Yeah.
But what's up?
She's looking at me like she hates
I
me.
just like made it to him being 31 without him being into video games.
I only want to play like
I feel
2
it's-
video games
I
ever.
feel it slipping
Right.
away.
All right, never mind. I'm out.
I'm
I don't-
teasing. You can
think
do
you'll-
whatever you want.
You think it'll turn into like Ben Stiller at the end of?
I don't know.
An
The most
hour
important
show's
thing in my
gonna be,
life
you know,
is keeping this like hot chick I have, man. I'm not
like
gonna
next
I feel
live
like
next
video
live
game.
stream.
She's not
We'll
into
tune
it.
in, and Sean will just be like, "So
Yeah.
When I got into
I just
woodworking,
beat
she was
the
like,
game.
"Yeah, I
mastered it.
like
have
that."
100% completions. My spine doesn't work well, and I think we're gonna need a crane to get me out of the room. But I have accomplished a lot.
Yeah, no, that's
Call the
That's
zoo.
that's
Get
that
the
is-
rhino bed.
that is the exact fear because I feel like your classic trope is like the dude that can't look away from his screen while his wife's over there in like something other than street clothes, and he's like, "Hi, honey," and then goes like right back to what he's doing, and it's just like,
I mean, it's a fear.
yeah,
I think
I
you
just don't want
have
that to be in my life.
you have to supplement it with.
Have you seen how obsessive he gets with things?
That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
You
with
either
you.
have-
You have to supplement it with a steady diet of my 600-pound life and intervention, and
My
it should
God.
keep you in a headspace where you're like,
The show I like.
I don't know. I feel
They're like, I don't want to go
Dude,
all the way
start
there.
watching
you
like
can see it coming
Dating on
from
the
further away, I
Spectrum
feel like.
or whatever it's called on Netflix.
I haven't watched that yet. We just got done with Indian matchmaking, so we're working our way through.
All right.
Where were we just talking? Oh, it was on your mom's house. That's what it was.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I listened to that. I have to
Why
show
did I
Charity
hear about that
because
the other day?
they were talking about her show. And I don't even think it's that racist. I think that's just how they roll, you know?
I think it's a bit racist, man.
The Indian matchmaking thing?
I just feel like the light-skinned Indians were worth more for so long that it's something they've got used to.
Or it's not racist.
and-
I think it's classist.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
exactly
it's
what
a-
it is.
I was gonna say,
It's not
like,
racist. It's classist.
You can get out of your class that you're in if you marry properly. And
I was gonna say,
Well,
like, they
that's-
have
that's-
last
Oh,
names that denote
no.
what class you're in there.
That
'Cause they're
goes
so
so-
serious about it.
I think
Dude.
one of the things that
Don't make me bust my trumpet out and do the like start playing socialist anthems.
what's
No,
wrong.
just kidding.
You don't think that this system helps them keep track of what's going on in their government and what's going on around them? Don't they have really good living conditions and resources and infrastructure?
Yeah, definitely not.
Hmm.
They are victims of basically the
Class.
British system that was set up,
Yeah.
and people.
Feels like class warfare almost.
Yeah, I don't want to comment on geopolitical stuff. I actually don't know anything about.
I don't know. I think they should smoke some cannabis. But
Shouldn't
I
No.
think a lot of them do.
yeah, you think? I think they're borrowing it.
That's
from
where the word
nearby.
chillum comes from.
Yeah,
Like,
and Hindu Kush, the Kush Mountains in Afghanistan, right nearby. That's
Hashish.
where that good shit
Hashish?
comes from.
I
Yeah,
think
they get turned
that's
up.
not.
That's part of the
Yeah, I'm into it.
They do opium. There's all kinds of fun
I'm
stuff
into
going on.
it.
All right. So what is
So last thing to talk about here
what is this over
was
here?
the
It's the news
Canna
article.
closing on $500,000 in funding. And it's an interesting business model. It seems like it touches the industry a lot, but I guess it doesn't. I guess they can still operate without any of the burdens of the medical marijuana industry because they're getting big funding. And
Yeah.
looks like they're gonna bring in. Looks like they're saying their website quickly drew about 1,000 interested workers for jobs like trimming, retail, delivery, bud tending, and packaging. They're saying the
Okay.
next step is to hire software engineers and continuing to develop software to connect farms and other cannabis businesses to expand its client base. So
What? Why?
Well, because you want to
I
have
grew
the
potatoes-
top to bottom thing, because then you own every bit of the production line. That's what any industry tries to do.
and they're saying that
Yeah.
because of the
I'm
high
done.
turnover in the cannabis industry, they want to essentially provide kind of be like a supplement to help them be more consistent with their employees and prevent the problems caused by that high turnover in all these trimming jobs. Because
So they're
Okay,
trying to actually
okay.
pay people a
Actually-
little more and offer benefits and stuff like that. Because really,
that's what it was saying.
Now I'm weary because it sounds great.
yeah.
It's saying that they created a on-demand hiring process, and they offer tax and banking support, and they're hoping
Okay.
to place about 2,000 to 3,000 people in the Oklahoma cannabis industry.
Well, because
How are
it's
they
really,
offering banking when you can't bank cannabis money?
So I think the issue is that anyone who has federally backed charters, like as far as banks and stuff goes, and credit unions, if you have federally backed charter, then you can't touch marijuana money because it's illegal federally. But
Yeah,
if
So
you
they could
have
do,
a state charter
like,
that's
a
not
local
federally backed or private
credit union
Yeah.
or something.
yeah, like
Okay.
private equity, they might do that, which sounds like what they're talking about.
Well, because I
Some-
know.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I know that top to bottom that the turnover rate's one of the difficulties. Colorado, friends that live there, there's dispensaries. Those people are barely above minimum wage. You're essentially a service industry worker. You might as well be working the counter at Payway as far as what you're getting paid. You're expected to sample the product. It's even with the discount that's hard to pay for. And
It's like
continue to pay
having to
for
wear
everything
the
else.
clothes
You
it.
can't get enough hours and all that kind of stuff. It's really so. You really can't maintain that for long unless it's not your main source of employment. So then, most people. Thinking about the people I know that went and trimmed and did that. They weren't necessarily your typical seeking gainful employment type person, and it certainly wasn't something they did for a long time. So the fact that if you really want to get a high quality product as far as testing and all that kind of stuff, you need that they talked
Dedicated
about that
professional.
untouched by human hands thing. So you need somebody who is fed and slept well and is being taken care of.
Just like
it's
anything
actually,
else.
So instead of it just being a hired hand, you're more of investing in your workers. I mean, it's a great idea. I just would be.
Unless it's a
long-term.
career, unless you're going to devote your life to it, why do it? There are people that are willing to do that with this plant. We could get to that level of consistency for every like harvest. We could get like in terms of terpene levels, THC levels, CBD levels. Like we could get there because there are the people that are willing to devote their lives to this.
Yep. If they're allowed to.
If
And
they're allowed to do that.
it looks
And
like
these are people that otherwise would be like getting us to Mars.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, so this is just is Canna the name of the company
yeah, it looks like
With the
they're-
K.
with a K?
Yeah. Here's their founder, Faraj Mayan. And
He doesn't look
looks
like a
he
bad
started
guy.
in Austin. No, he looked chill. He looks like he's younger than us. Or
He
our
looks
age.
pretty cool.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And it
So
looks like they're targeting states. They're saying
He
So they're
does
starting
look
in
like he would
Austin,
ask me if I want to play beer pong, though.
right? He's chill, but he knows how to party.
Oh, most certainly, man.
And it looks like they're targeting, what they're saying is primarily nascent states like Oklahoma and not mature markets like Colorado and California, because
Yeah.
he thinks the supply side of labor is a lot more fragmented there. And from a legislative
He's
perspective,
100% right.
I think they'd be willing to listen to the growing pains and build infrastructure that really supports business owners. So he wanted to come to these states so that the laws are shaped around what he's doing here or what the
I think that's a
industry is
really
doing.
nice way of saying the reality.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely painted
Like-
with a beautiful brush.
Like, the reality is there's no other opportunity for a lot of people that would do this job.
Yeah. And he's moving
So,
the other. Look at
bringing
the
it
other
here.
states. They're saying that the other states they're targeting are Missouri, Florida, Michigan, and Illinois.
He's going to have to come. He can come here and not pay them. Like, those are union states, man. There's going to be no cannabis unionization in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not going to pay these people health care. Like, he's going to be able to pay them minimum wage to grow his weed. Like, or sorry, I'm getting conspiratorial, but that's exactly what's going to happen.
No, I know what you mean. And he mentioned that some of those things, some of those benefits are a struggle for temporary or seasonal workers, but then didn't really talk about offering that. It seems like they're more offering, they're really trying to service the industry and the businesses more than the workers.
Yeah.
You know, like y'all were talking about earlier, that'd be the thing that workers would want, would be all the benefits and structured work weeks and the ability to unionize
Most certainly,
and
it's
stuff
a
like that.
great industry. Like, bringing cannabis into Oklahoma would be the equivalency of like West Virginia not having any or having anything going on and just being like, hey, guess what? You guys have coal. Like, we're there. Like, we are at the discovery of oil. Like, this is a boom town kind of thing. Like, if we play it right, we can enrich everyone in the state and make sure we are not 50th or in education or whatever, or 45th or whatever we are. Like, we really can bring the state of Oklahoma into the 21st century.
And that's what they said the
cannabis.
role of the smaller cities or the smaller industries in that show, the business of drugs and cannabis, was even though those huge industries are going to move in and dominate us, because of how we're positioned. The way that the small state or even the big state run businesses are going to survive is they're going to have to take the like Tyson Farms approach, and you are going to be the grower for cannabis.
See, I don't like that. I don't
No,
like that.
that's
Those
the only
chicken
way
house
that you're
people in
gonna be able to
Arkansas are getting boned, man.
I agree. It's not a good position, but because
I'm not going to
well,
hot house for Canna Farm.
I mean, I agree with you, but I'm saying that was one of the things they were pointing out is the only angle you're left with in some small communities is to do stuff like that because there's no way to get on top of a business that's already been able to dominate.
Most
No,
certainly.
that's
But-
absolutely the fear.
Per
the
that thing
issue.
we watched, it said that like Canada has $7 billion worth of cannabis market share, right?
Something like that, yeah.
And and then California alone has like 20.
Mm-hmm.
And if we legalize the U.S. entirely, we'd be talking about like 80, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
That's way more than Canada. So I think like if we really, I don't know, on a federal level, there's a way to do this to where we can really, I mean, the national debt has gone up like $6 trillion and like just very recently.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like, there's a way we can legalize marijuana federally and leverage it to where we can do a lot for that. You know what I mean? Like,
that's what I always talk about.
The rest
in
of
Central and South America is if they could actually legalize and make money off their gross domestic product rather than it being a worldwide black market, then they could actually pull themselves up a little bit, which is what we're kind of talking about, because we don't produce a whole lot. We're a giant farm essentially for grass and anything else that'll grow here because of how awesome our climate is. And we're really limited in what we grow and how we can make money off of it because of the pharmaceutical industries and how they dominate, the food industry and a lot of other things. And that's kind of what we're talking about. But hopefully with some of these other things they're doing to protect smaller businesses and some of the laws that they're pushing forward to decriminalize, it'll open things up a little bit. And they're also talking about laxing on some of the banks to where they can do more. That'd be a huge, huge deal if they could do that.
Yeah, that would really make a big.
I mean, if they could
change.
bank, it would be so much better. The cocaine dealers in the 80s could bank. It's insane that like mom and pop pot grows can't put their money in the bank.
Well, the cartels
and like have to be worried about getting like robbed at gunpoint and stuff, man. Like it's really scary for some of these people. They're just trying to make an honest living.
That's the biggest problem is they're incentivizing the black market by making it somewhere where you can't compete. But, I think we've covered just about everything today. And I know you guys have had that pot on the stove for a while now. And I hear it sounds like the flame's been going. It's got to be getting hot.
Hey, call me tomorrow.
My wife's
Carter.
banging on the walls in here.
Let me share it.
Thank you guys for coming, and we'll talk to you next time.
Yeah, thanks, Carter.
Edit this heavily, please.